Hello friends, this video on Matter and Magnetism Part 29 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Please make sure that you have watched all the videos till Part 28 before going ahead with Part 29. So let us look at the first problem. It says that a toroidal solenoid has 3000 turns and a mean radius of 10 centimeters. So that means let me first draw a toroidal solenoid. So a toroidal solenoid would look somewhat like this. So it says that it has 3000 turns, that is number of turns is 3000, and it has a mean radius of 10 centimeters, that is 10 into 10 to the power minus 2 meters. It has a soft iron core of relative permeability 2000. So relative permeability is 2000. Find the magnitude of the magnetic field in the core when a current of 1 ampere is passed through the solenoid. So we have to find out the magnitude of magnetic field in the core. So let us suppose this is the soft iron core inside the solenoid. So this is the soft iron core inside the solenoid. So how do we find the magnitude of the magnetic field inside the solenoid? We already know that the magnitude of magnetic field inside a solenoid is given by mu naught Ni when we were talking about free space, right? Mu naught Ni when no material was inserted here, right? So this was for free space. But now that a material is inserted inside, and that too the material has a relative permeability of 2000, that means in this case here this will be equal to, the magnetic field will be equal to mu into Ni. So what is mu? Mu is nothing but mu r into mu naught into n. What is n? That is number of turns per unit length. So this will be total number of turns divided by the length of the solenoid into current, right? So what would be the length of the solenoid? Length is nothing but the circumference of the wire. So that would be equal to mu naught mu r n divided by 2 pi r into I. So the magnetic field comes out to be mu r is 2000 into mu naught is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 into n is 3000 divided by 2 pi into r is 10 into 10 to the power minus 2 into I is 1 ampere. So this pi and pi will get cancelled and this will come out to be 12 Tesla. So this is the value of the magnetic field inside the core of the solenoid, right? So now let us go ahead and look at the next problem. It says that a magnetizing field of 1600 ampere per meter produces a magnetic flux of 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 5 Weber in a bar of iron of cross section 0.2 centimeter square. So magnetizing field, that is H, is given as 1600 ampere per meter. It produces a magnetic flux. What is magnetic flux? Magnetic flux is nothing but integration of B dot ds, right? That is the number of magnetic lines of force crossing a particular area. So this is defined as magnetic flux, which we often denote as phi b. So the magnetic flux is given as 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 5 Weber. And the cross-sectional area of the bar is given as 0.2 centimeter square, that is 0.2 into 10 to the power minus 4 meter square. So we have to calculate the permeability and the susceptibility. So we have to calculate the permeability and the magnetic susceptibility of the bar. Now, with the help of whatever we studied so far, we know that mu is equal to B by H. We already know this. And what is B? From this definition, we can say that B is nothing but phi b divided by a, where a is the area, because integration of ds is nothing but area. So instead of B, we can write it as phi B divided by area, this divided by H. So this would be the value of mu, that is the permeability. Now phi B is 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 5 divided by area is 0.2 into 10 to the power minus 4. This divided by H is 1600. So this value comes out to be 7.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 Tesla per ampere meter. So this would be the value of permeability. Now susceptibility, we know that relation between relative permeability and susceptibility is mu r is equal to 1 plus chi m. Now what is mu r? Mu r is nothing but mu divided by mu naught is equal to 1 plus chi m. Therefore, chi m, that is susceptibility, will be equal to mu divided by mu naught minus 1. Right? So what is mu? Mu we have calculated just now, that is 7.5 into 10 to the power minus 4 divided by mu naught is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 minus 1. So this comes out to be 596.1. So this is the value of magnetic susceptibility. So basically there is no other go. You need to remember all these relationships. The relations between permeability and susceptibility, relations between magnetizing field and intensity of magnetization. So all these things, these terminologies are very, very important and you will have to remember all those things. Let us now look at the last problem of this lesson. It says that a sample of paramagnetic salt contains 2 into 10 to the power 24 atomic dipoles, each of dipole moment 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 23 joule per Tesla. So what is the number of atomic dipoles? 2 into 10 to the power 24. And the magnetic dipole of each of them is 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 23 joule per Tesla. The sample is placed under a homogeneous magnetic field of 0.64 Tesla and cooled to a temperature of 4.2 Kelvin. Okay, the degree of magnetic saturation achieved is equal to 15%. That means you have a paramagnetic salt. So that means you have a paramagnetic substance. What did you do? You place it in a magnetic field. So what will happen when you place a paramagnetic substance in magnetic field? The substance will get magnetized, right? So it says that the magnetic saturation is achieved is equal to 15%. So what is the total dipole moment of the sample for a magnetic field of 0.98 Tesla and a temperature of 2.8 kelvins? So what will happen if you reduce the if you increase the magnetic field and reduce the temperature further? So first we will have to calculate the total dipole moment of the substance as a whole, right? So what would be the total dipole moment? The total dipole moment would be equal to the number of atomic dipoles into the dipole moment of each atom. So total number of atoms is n. So these many atoms and each atom has a dipole moment of m. So you may multiply both of them. So 2 into 10 to the power 24 into 1.5 into 10 to the power minus 23. So that is 30. So this 30 is the total dipole moment. Now it says that the magnetic saturation that is achieved is equal to 15%. That means the dipole moment that is induced due to the application of the magnetic field is only 15%, right? So therefore, the effective dipole moment or the effective magnetic moment will be equal to 15% of 30, right? Because it says that the magnetic saturation is only 30. It should have been, the total magnetic moment should have been 30, but since the saturation achieved is only 15%, that means only 15% of this value is the actual magnetic moment that is induced, right? So because whatever is the magnetic moment that is induced, that is what will reflect in the magnetization. So this comes out to be 4.5 joule per Tesla. So this is the effective magnetic moment of the substance on the application of magnetic field. So what do we see now? We see that the initial magnetic moment in the first case, we say that the magnetic field that is applied is 0.64 Tesla. This is the magnetic field applied in the first case, and the temperature in the first case is 4.2 Kelvin, and the magnetic moment in the first case is equal to 4.5 joule per Tesla. Now after some time, they increase the magnetic field to 0.98 Tesla. They decrease the temperature to 2.8 Kelvin, and they are asking us to calculate the total dipole moment of the sample under this situation, right? So we have to calculate M2, right? Now we will apply Curie's law. So as per Curie law, we know that the susceptibility is equal to, it is directly proportional to 1 by T, or we can say susceptibility is equal to C by T, where C is a Curie constant, right? This is Curie constant. Now, how do we define susceptibility? Susceptibility is the ratio of magnetization to magnetic intensity. So this is equal to C by T. So this C is a constant. So we can say that M is equal to HC divided by T. Right? Now we also know that this M is directly, what is this M? This M is nothing but magnetization. So magnetization is actually dependent on the magnetic moment. Now, whenever magnetic moment gets induced, whenever there is a net magnetic moment, the substance is magnetized. Whenever the net magnetic moment is zero, the substance is demagnetized, right? So that means this magnetization depends on magnetic moment. So magnetization is dependent on magnetic moment, and also this H, that is magnetic intensity, is dependent on magnetic field, right? So this is very logical. So we can write this expression as M is proportional to BC divided by T. So from this we can say that BMT divided by T is constant, because this is a constant value, right? So now using this, we can write that therefore M1 T1 by B1 should be equal to M2 T2 by B2, right? So from this we can say that M2 is equal to M1 T1 B2 divided by B1 T2. So now we will quickly put the values which we already have. Here we have noted down all the values, right? So we will put those values. So M1 is 4.5 into T1 is 4.2 Kelvin, B2 is 0.98 Tesla, B1 is 0.64 and T2 is 2.8. So when you calculate this, you get the result as 7.875 joule per Tesla. So this would be the value of the net dipole moment when the temperature is further reduced at a magnetic field of value 0.98 Tesla. So this is how you generally approach problems. So I hope that the concepts of magnetism are now clear to you. So practice more problems so that you can clarify your concepts further, because in physics I just cannot solve each and every problem for you. So it is like you should understand the basic concepts. Once the basics are clear, then it is up to your practice. The more you practice, the concepts get clearer over and again. So see you all in the next lesson. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos. Try free online tests. Get the best quality study materials. Study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.